All right, let's talk about how to build wealth from absolute zero starting in 2026. This isn't just a bunch of vague tips. This is a complete step-by-step playbook. It's a clear strategy designed for the world we're actually living in. Okay, let's dive right in.
Just imagine that for a second. It's New Year's Day 2026. You check your accounts and you have nothing. Maybe you even have some debt. The news is full of economic doom and gloom. It's a really paralyzing feeling, isn't it? You feel like the game is rigged before you've even made your first move. But what if it's not? What if there's a clear path forward, even from that exact starting line?
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start with mindset. Then we'll move methodically through destroying debt, building a cash fortress, creating a portfolio that wins because it's boring, adding a powerful tax shield, and finally, hitting the accelerator on your income. Let's get to it. Now, before we even touch a single dollar, we have to start here with a mindset shift, because the very first move you make has nothing to do with picking a stock. It's all about finding and then cutting loose the invisible anchor that's holding you back.
That's exactly right. If you're starting from scratch, your biggest enemy isn't the market, it's not inflation, it's this anchor. It's a negative compounding trap that is actively pulling you underwater before you even have a chance to swim. And, it has a more common name: high interest debt.
So that brings us to phase one, becoming a debt destroyer. You just cannot build a skyscraper on a foundation of quicksand. This phase is all about clearing the ground so you can finally start building something that lasts. This right here is probably one of the biggest myths we need to bust. People think, oh, I can invest and make 10% while my debt is 20%. But look at the math. Trying to beat a 20% interest rate is a massive gamble. But paying off that same debt, that is a guaranteed 20% return on your money. Let me say that again, a guaranteed 20% return. It's the only risk-free, high-yield investment on planet Earth for the average person. You just can't find a better, safer return, period. And if you're still not convinced, just look at this number. That $5,000 thing you bought on a credit card ends up costing you almost double. Every single dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that isn't compounding for you. It's literally working against your future. That is the true cost of that invisible anchor. But you know what? This isn't just about the numbers. Carrying debt creates a scarcity mindset. It makes you afraid to take risks, like asking for that big raise or switching to a better career. Wiping it out is a psychological unlock. It lets you stop playing defense with your money and finally start playing offense. So here's the battle plan. It's called the avalanche method, and it is brutally effective. You list every debt you have, not by size, but by interest rate, highest to lowest. Then you throw every spare penny at that top one while paying just the minimums on everything else. Once it's dead, you take that entire payment and roll it like a giant snowball onto the next one. It's simple, it's ruthless, and it works. Okay, the debt is gone. You're at a true zero. Now we can move on to phase two, building your cash fortress. And I want you to think of this not as an investment, but as the single most important insurance policy you will ever own. And right here, this is the exact moment where 90% of new investors make a huge mistake. They think, awesome, I'm debt-free. Time to dump every single dollar into the stock market. But this is setting yourself up for a catastrophic failure. Why? Well, because life happens. Let's just play this out. A crisis hits, maybe you lose your job, and it happens right when the market takes a 20% dive. Investor A, with no buffer, has no choice. They have to sell their stocks at the worst possible time, turning a temporary paper loss into a permanent, real one. But Investor B, they calmly tap their cash fortress to pay the bills. Their investments are left completely untouched, ready to recover and grow. That buffer isn't just cash sitting there, it's insurance that protects your entire portfolio from your own life. So, the protocol for this phase is totally non-negotiable. First, you figure out your absolute, bare-bones, survival mode monthly expenses. Then, you multiply that number by 3. That's your target. You set up automatic transfers to a high-yield savings account until you hit that number. And once it's full, you pretend it doesn't exist. It is for emergencies only. Full stop. Okay, with our insurance policy firmly in place, now we can finally start investing. And we can do it with confidence. But the strategy that actually works, well, it isn't exciting. It's not glamorous. In fact, its greatest strength is that it's profoundly, wonderfully boring. I mean, just look at the data. Over any long stretch of time, something like 90% of professional fund managers, these are people with fancy degrees who get paid millions to pick stocks all day. They fail to beat the simple market average. Now, if they can't do it, what makes us think we can in our spare time? The math is just crystal clear. Trying to be exceptional often leads to really below average results. So why do we even try? It's something called the dopamine trap. Our brains crave action and excitement. We want to feel like we're a genius who's outsmarting everyone. But here's the truth. Good investing should feel like watching paint dry. If it feels exciting, you're probably just gambling. We have to literally hack our own brains to accept that being average is the actual path to building wealth. So what's the solution? Well, it's called the core satellite approach, and it's brilliant. You put 90% of your investment money into your core. That's your boring, low-cost, broad market index funds. This is your real wealth engine. Then the other 10%? That's your satellite. That's your fun money. Go ahead, buy that tech stock you've been eyeing or that crypto coin. This scratches that itch to gamble without ever threatening your actual financial future.
Now for phase 4, and this is a big one. You could do everything else perfectly and still end up losing a massive chunk of your wealth to your silent partner in all this, the government. This phase is all about building a tax shield. See, it's not just about what you invest in, it's about where you invest it. Look at this example. It's the exact same investment, same $10,000, same growth over 30 years. But just by choosing a Roth IRA instead of a regular taxable account, you get to keep an extra $18,000. That's not from being a better investor, that's just from being a smarter tax plan. So it is absolutely crucial to follow this order of operations, what I call the tax waterfall. Step 1, always, is to contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. It's free money. Don't leave it on the table. Next, you max out a Roth IRA. After that, if you have access to one, you max out an HSA, a health savings account, which has insane triple tax benefits. Only after all those tax advantage buckets are completely full should you even think about putting money into a normal taxable brokerage account.
All right, this brings us to the final level, the accelerator, the turbo button. We have built this powerful, efficient wealth building system, but there is one single lever that can supercharge this entire process: your income. I want you to think about it like this. Saving money, budgeting, clipping coupons, that's all playing defense. And it's important. It stops you from losing the game, but there's a limit to how much you can cut. Playing offense, aggressively increasing your earnings, that is how you actually win the game. And here's the beautiful part. There is no ceiling on how much you can earn. So that's the playbook. It's a clear progression. First, you clear the field by absolutely destroying your high-interest debt. Then you build your defenses with a cash fortress. You use powerful tools like tax shields. You build your wealth engine with boring old index funds. But the way you truly win the game is by going on offense and aggressively growing your income. Look, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, it's a get-wealthy-for-sure scheme. The plan is right here, and it's proven to work. So the only real question left is the one right here on the screen. What is the one skill that if you mastered it would make you undeniable in your career and put this whole process into overdrive? That's where your real journey begins.